Right, everybody, hello and welcome to Stobbie's Viewer League number 2. This is the second semi-final. This is Arnar, Holt's Humans, the Reikland Reavers versus lLoggiczz, Snow White and the 6 Dwarfs. I'm joined by none other than the human coach, Arnar Holt. You right, mate?
Hello there, sir. How are you?
Yeah, good. Let's click play and see how you got on. No spoilerinos. Let's pretend as though we don't know what happened in this game.
No, we don't know, do we?
No, we don't at all. First thing I want to say, your thrower, have you had to replace him?
No, I've just got no XP on him.
That is rotten, mate. To have only picked up 1 SPP in how many games? Like 8 games?
Yeah, he's been very poor. He's failed a lot of throws.
Oh.
Yeah. So I've tried not to throw with him. I've ended doing just some pops.
I suppose just doing handoffs is a lot safer. The percentage play.
It's less reroll as well, isn't it? It's less a roll.
Oh.
Not going to pass.
And so looking at your other pieces, you've got 1 Mighty Blow Blitzer. That's nice. Catcher with Blodge. Very nice.
Yeah.
And the big guy. 10 SPP. How do you get SPP on your big guy? My big guy just stands there brain dead every single turn.
Yeah, it just comes down to fucking look at VPs.
Oh yeah, 2 MVPs.
I've been lucky that way. Would have been nice to get a block on him with a double, but he didn't roll one. As it is, it's my 3rd catcher as well, my 3rd catcher, and it was lLoggiczz that killed him in the group session.
Oh, actually, well, I mean, the thing is, you do have 2 pretty saucy catchers. I mean, the one who I was impressed with has Blodge and catch, and he's the weaker of the 2 catchers. The other one has Blodge and sidestep.
Yeah, that's right. They tend to, on the human side, they tend to hog the SPP.
I find that to be the case, yeah, as well, on my human team as well.
It's easy to score on, and you're breaking that habit of trying to spread it around a little bit more, I think.
The thing is, I mean, I think most players give it a go to spread the SPP around whenever possible, but it's just, it feels like the opportunities are so few and far between.
Yeah, that's right. You get comfortable, and then you just do what you know, and
yeah, because you kind of feel like you want to secure the win first, if at all possible.
Of course you do, yeah.
Yeah. So talk to me about this stage of the game. You are attacking, but there's this wall of Chaos Dwarf meat in front of you. So, what's your plan here?
Just to do as much damage as I could, really, but just cage up, keep the ball safe, and hope I get lucky. I mean, I was hoping to get rid of that ball. Horrible monster ball.
Yeah.
I do not get hit on him.
So I feel your pain because I had to get through the game with the Norse, and I don't know if you saw the replay. I ended up with 6 Elves on the field by the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're not going to be doing any punching into that wall of guard.
Of course not. No. It's difficult to counter the guard. Being more manoeuvrable. Leave them in place where you can get round.
Oh, and the old classic turn to kill. Was that no? That was APO. You didn't APO that. So talk me through the logic of not APOing a blitzer. He's a lineman, but he's got blocks, so.
Yeah, I thought, well, he's a lineman at the end of the day, so I better save the APO for the more important piece.
Yeah.
Use the APO there, and then I'm room for the rest of the game.
I mean, I tell you what, if you're on my team, and you're a player on my team, and you haven't leveled up, and you get killed, I hope you don't expect the APO to come running over, because that's not going to happen.
Yeah. We tell by lLoggiczz as well, I want to not be too biased.
Yeah. That's a bit of luck there, having the Minotaur get punched in its stupid bull face, but...
Yeah.
This is so rough for you. I mean, this is supposed to be your drive, but as is almost to be expected with this matchup.
Yeah,
you're in your half.
Yeah. And that was a lucky break, the double skull.
Indeed.
Yeah,
I mean,
he puts a lot of pressure on me, and it's hard to deal with when he's got so much guard as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious that you were never going to get anything done in the middle of the field. Now, in the gift of retrospect, your best bet, I'm looking at this field position here and I'm thinking, your best bet is to just run those catches up as far, as quickly as possible, but you had to use them with the blocks. I mean, so hard, isn't it?
It is. Difficult. And just drawing blocks against that ball. You know, he's got block, isn't he? So I can't look in there.
Just a push. Technically, you're right, lLoggiczz, but I mean, both of the semi-finals were huge mismatches. But you had such an advantage here. Those little details wouldn't make too much of a difference. I mean, how is a human team supposed to beat a chaos team like ever? Just by playing keep away, I suppose.
You've got to use your mobility. That's the advantage against them. And if you get bogged down, they'll bash you.
And I think one of the big frustrations people have with playing against chaos is because, like, if you're playing regular dwarves, then it's obvious, use your mobility. So in this matchup, you say use your mobility, but there's two bull centaurs with a huge amount of mobility of their own. So even if you outrun the little dwarf lads, you're still got to contend with three big guys. Crazy.
Yes. Sidestep helping.
Sidestep, excellent skill. Go on, kill that bull centaur. Nice, pow. Death to the bull centaur. Nope. Okay, stun, great. This looks promising. And it's your ball carry with sidestep. I like the look of this. I take your silence to mean just wait to see what happens.
Yeah, I think I've got a slight delay on the screen. I've just run the catcher up.
And it is so hard. Like, I mean, it's also, I've found in these kind of matchups, it's hard to keep your spirits up because you just look at the state of the board and you think, what am I supposed to do here? And it just feels like every single move you make is with disadvantage. It's one of the things of, I think, some of the best coaches is that mental fortitude of not just getting in that negative headspace.
As lLoggiczz just said in the chat about winning his ball being huge. He didn't want to it was. I just tried to screen up as best I could. Try and counter his next move.
Let's see. 8 movement, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you can just run it in here. Awesome.
I was hoping to stall, but he presses really well.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, his big guys and his other dwarves, all with guard, they can, you know, tie up a number of lads like when they're like outnumbered. So it's not like they have to one-to-one mark.
Right.
Well, still, you did manage to get the touchdown. Beautifully done, sir.
Okay.
Gawain Hartmut. Very nice.
I do enjoy the human names.
The humans are actually my favorite team.
They've got a Germanic background in there.
They do have the Germanic background, yeah, and the Bretonnians have the French background. So obviously you can't play them there. Bloody French.
Yeah, French. They were my first team when I started playing football too.
Oh, really?
I just thought I'd give them a go. I like watching a few guys play, trying to get a few tips before I started, and everyone's ragging on the Brets. But yeah, I'll give them a go, see what it's all about.
Yeah, well, I had a similar experience. It's always an interesting discussion to ask lads who they actually start, who's their first team they start really playing to learn. For me, it was the humans, which in retrospect I regret enormously. I wish I had started learning either with the Orcs or the High Elves.
Yeah.
Because the humans, I think, they're one of the teams that quite rightly are rated as being some of the most difficult to master.
Yeah, I'd say they're good at everything, but they're hard to master, aren't they? But they're easy to adapt as well, they're supposed to be. Every position's got what they need. So I don't normally set up with my team spread, but I thought I've got to try and stop these ball centaurs running down the sides. That's why I spread them a bit to prevent that.
That's a good read there by you, because you've obviously noticed that in the previous drive, allowing the bull centaurs to make well, no pun intended, a bullhorn pincher attack around your flanks was pretty devastating. So.
Yeah.
Oh, nice double skull. I will point out though that lLoggiczz is out of rerolls with 4 turns to go, and you're still sitting on 3.
Yeah, he did have to use them quite early.
So quite similar to my semi-final, actually. Oh, you hate to see it. Lineman injured, but he's unleveled, so no APO for him. I was just about to say that so far you're kind of looking pretty good, and I mean, in my semi-final, it was quite competitive, and I managed to get ahead in the first half. And then things, on turn 13, Nuffle just decided to shove the dice up my backside. So I can't wait to see what happens here. Yeah.
Hard to watch.
Yeah.
He said it was so competitive for so long, and guys just turned on you, and each turn removal, injury. You can't play like that then.
What just happened there? That was a scattered, inaccurate pass caught by the other bull centaur who rolled a 6.
I know. It was unbelievable, wasn't it?
Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Nuffle does seem to favour the teams who have a gigantic advantage in the beginning of the game.
I did put in chat to him there because I couldn't believe he just do that.
Does it not show the chat? I wish it did.
Yeah, no, the chat's not on for some reason. You were talking though.
Well, he still has to get past a couple of defenders here, but...
Yeah. So until the ball actually went to the centaur and caught it, I thought I was in a decent position. I thought, I'll be okay here. Inaccurate over there somewhere, might get round onto the ball.
I mean, yeah, one of his big monsters does have the ball, but he does still have to run dice to be able to, roll dice to be able to advance his position. And I'll point out, your big man hasn't stood there drooling stupidly yet.
I have been lucky with my ogre. He hasn't been stupid.
Two ones there on the sure feet. Nice.
Yeah.
You needed a kill there, though. You needed that bull centaur to die. That's interesting blitz. I was just about to say, couldn't you have blitzed that Minotaur away? But I just noticed a little half moon of God. So the answer is categoric no.
Yeah.
Nice pickup, great dodge, well done. It's just a pity one of your linemen weren't free on the left flank.
Yeah, I know. I was hoping for a better scatter.
The thing is that at this point, is it not even worth... I mean, if you make that ball play... I'm not criticizing, but I'm just realizing now, with the lack of mobility of these Chaos lads, with the gift of hindsight, so if you know it's going to scatter 3 tiles, if you just hoy it up the field and just get it into his end zone.
Yes. Just hump it out the way, get it up there out the way. I could have probably done that actually.
I mean, that kind of tactic, I've never actually done it yet in a game, but I think it's something I have to bear in mind. And the point was really made to me when I had my, it was kind of a joke team, my Skaven team, where where I took long bomb on my thrower, and I would just long bomb the ball up the field, and I was amazed at how many times it was actually pretty effective. Especially because what you do is your thrower with long bomb retreats all the way back to your end zone, and you can actually retreat most of your blockers. Just your throwers run up. Then the defending guy has the option of thinking how many people is he going to send back to your throwers. So he either gives up punching advantage in the midfield, or he exposes himself to the long bomb. So can no one catch a ball here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lads.
Nobody wanted it.
Yeah, but then at that point, when it lands in the middle of a triangle of Chaos Warrior Dwarves, all with guard, kiss that ball goodbye.
Great. Yeah, like I said about doing the punt away, I thought, we're thinking about it now, that would have been the better play. So I dodged him out, moved him across, and tried to throw. It would have been in danger.
It wouldn't it have been tempting to maybe hit that little Chaos Warrior with your big guy, which is obviously super risky because you have to get through thick skull and you have to get through block advantage, but I'm just thinking potentially you could maybe have pushed him away and got your catcher in there, but even so, it would have been exceptionally unlikely to have worked as a ball recover.
A lot of dice.
Yeah. But as I saw last night on stream, I'm going to try to commit to doing those extremely unlikely plays, even if it's there, because that touchdown I scored with my human team was ridiculous. I made, I think, 2 50% dodges to get my catcher into position, then 2 50s and a 67 and a 67 just to pick the ball up, then a 17% throw and a 67 catch, and I made all of them.
When it comes off, it's great.
That's only happened to me twice in some 200 hours of Blood Bowl, but as you say, it's delightful when it does happen.
Yeah. Well, lLoggiczz said in the cast about he's pleased with me using that wizard there. That means I didn't have to dive.
It's interesting because he says he feels he wasn't scoring, but I'm not so sure. I thought that was an absolutely commanding position.
Yeah, I thought he was going to score, so I thought I'll go try and score in on my drive. Just stop him on his.
I love that attempt though. That would have been pretty amazing if it had worked. The old long bomb with the hobgoblin. So interesting first half.
Yeah, I thought the way he was rolling, he'd make it.
I mean, all in all, you'd be pleased to be 1 up at the half, but the real issue you have is that you're 2 players down.
Yeah, it does become more difficult with the players down.
And it was already damn near impossible. Yeah, so lLoggiczz points out he was happy with that chain push, and chain pushing is an aspect of Blood Bowl that I'm still grappling with and trying to learn. It's kind of like in chess how you have to be able to know 3 or 4 or 5 moves ahead, and it's certainly not something a beginner like me has any familiarity with.
Exactly the same. I'm still trying to figure out chain pushes. Where are they? Have I got any on? And I've missed several easy ones. It's just playing the game, or you'll pick them up.
So how many hours do you actually have in Blood Bowl?
About 170 something, 175.
Well, you know what? In that case, then, you and I can be damn proud having even made the semi-finals.
Yeah, I was pretty chuffed to get this far myself anyway. I didn't expect to get the group stage, to be honest.
Well, yeah, if you had spoken to me 5 games into the group stage when I was 1-0-4, I thought, it's over, it's fucking over. How I made the groups, how I made the playoffs, I'll never know.
And how angry you were as well.
I was so angry because I'd been dying to get my hands on the high elves. Oh, man. Anyways, but so...
You get what you want. Never comes back.
Yeah. It was so frustrating. But don't forget the fact that lLoggiczz, I think, has over 1,000 hours.
Yeah, he's played a lot.
and Jert Varnes has some 800 hours. So, what a mate! Shout out to William Slayer, who's got like 24 hours, and who was quite competitive in his first Blood Bowl league. And I think, how did he place in this league? I think mid-table.
I think so, yeah. Couldn't say without seeing the league in front of me.
Is this going to be enough to come out on top?
Nice. KO.
Yeah. I had that perfect defense, and I'm still trying to learn what I'm supposed to do with a perfect defense. I feel like I've set up, and then it gives me this chance to reorganise, and I overcompensate going one way, then I do the other.
Yeah. So when you get perfect defense, that's an opportunity to stack the line if it suits you. But
Yeah.
again, that's another one of those nuances that's not that easy to work out.
Again, with time in the game, I suppose you'll adapt to doing that.
Can I just point out that the Evil Queen, that Minotaur there, rolled triple dice, had to re-roll, and actually successfully used re-roll with his loner.
Yeah, I was pretty annoyed that he'd made the loner re-roll. Don't think I've made many loner re-rolls myself.
Well, if I think back, I'm intensely aware of the selection bias effect, because I can't think of a single time I've ever made a loner re-roll, yet you remember every single time you don't.
Yeah.
It's always the way.
lLoggiczz said he was already planning for overtime. I was ridiculous far ahead. I wanted to get the game done today. If I could stop him on his drive, I'll be pretty happy.
Well, it's interesting to show the difference in the way an experienced player and an inexperienced player looks at the game situation, because I think both you and I look at your position here on the field and think this looks pretty hopeless, yet he's still he's been through the ringer a few times and knows it's it's never in the bag, is it?
That's right.
Thanks, Martin. So you got 10th out of 12, I believe. Was it 12 of us or 10 of us? Pity. Still, it makes for some pretty interesting games when you have such skill mismatches between the coaches.
Yeah.
And as I've seen multiple times in my own games, it doesn't matter about skill difference. If you just roll absolutely rancid dice, you can lose to a newbie.
Yeah, people say it's not a game of dice, there's no dice, but to a certain extent, the dice do play part of the game. No matter if you're playing bad, but you're rolling good, you'll still come out on top 7 times out of 10 or something.
And the thing is, the way I like to think of it is, the skill comes in controlling the risk, in minimizing your risk, yet you can't completely eliminate it.
Yeah, so a good coach, a better coach will know positionally better, so what's good to re-roll, what's not good to re-roll.
Indeed. And throwing blocks well. I've just come from a game on stream where I lost to a lad who was just routinely throwing 1 dice blocks, and he just didn't get punished. It was infuriating.
Yeah. It's really annoying when they're on these and they're getting parried and they're throwing two dice.
And you get skulls.
Get skulls. Skulls are my friend. lLoggiczz here has just put himself in a really good position. He's not got to worry about the wizard, so I used it in the first half.
Yeah.
Just commanding something to command the field.
Personally, I feel your use of the wizard was pretty on point. I would have felt very much under threat there as well. I would be thinking, I really hate to use the wizard now, but kind of have to.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
The only real decision you're going to make there then is, do you use the fireball or the lightning bolt? And you went the lightning bolt route.
I'd much best fireball. To fizzle.
Yeah, so for every person hit, for those who don't know how fireball works, every person hit has a 50% chance to get knocked down and have to roll for an injury. So it can happen where you can hit like up to 9 lads with a fireball and not one of them gets knocked down.
Not bad then. Trying to stick buddies into the ball and make his routes harder to get through.
You do, but I don't fancy that thrower's chances of stopping the Bull Centaur and the Minotaur. And I think more so in this second viewer league than in the first one. Nice, sent off. I'm realizing the benefit of having a good group stage in terms of reaping all the SPP, because we've seen some real SPP mismatches as well. I mean, in this one here, you were sitting at what, an almost 200k disadvantage.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you got lLoggiczz and Dwarves. They've really armed a lot of people this league. So they were so far out in front of everybody else.
I mean, frankly, they've just been putting the boot in, haven't they? The whole league.
Yeah.
And I think really they got set up by, after their first or even their second games, they got a couple of pieces with Mighty Blow. And that just sets you rolling on the SPP train if you keep getting injuries and you keep getting that SPP from the injuries.
I mean, when I played the Norse in the league, we would remove my team in 4 turns. And the whole game we got 4 players.
Hang on, are you saying in the first viewer league you played Norse and you got squad wiped?
Sorry, in this viewer league, sorry. When I played Giovanni Norse, he just removed my team in 4 turns.
Oh yeah, he did, yeah. Well, I feel your pain. You and I are both. You and I, yeah. But you and I are both in the got field wiped by Dwarves club.
Yeah.
He killed 3. He killed 3 and injured, I think, 4 of my elves. And I had 2 APOs in that game, I believe.
Can't say I've ever brought the second APO and the inducement. Always been wizard and babes.
Yeah, I agree. I would favour the wizard over the second APO myself, if I can afford it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get the maximum, I think 300,000 is the maximum. I would usually be going for APO, Bloodweiser Babe, and Wizard. I feel like with those 3 inducements, you give yourself the best chance.
Yeah. But I'm not knowledge of using superstars. I'm not really too sure who I should use, and that, so I stay away from them.
Me too. On one of my Dark Elf games, I thought I was playing Skaven against Skaven, and I thought I'd take the assassin to try to assassinate their little 7 AV pieces. And I'd never used an assassin before and learnt the hard way that if you want to hit an enemy with the assassin, you got to use blitz. So I ran him up on the first turn, didn't use blitz. He then got mighty blowed and fouled on the returning turn, and the 180,000 I spent on my assassin was removed on turn 1. Which is, yeah, it's a suboptimal outcome. So, right, so at this point, there's not really much to say as far as commentary on this game, because really lLoggiczz is just grinding his way up the pitch, isn't he?
Yeah, it's just slowly pounding on my team. At this point now, the dice really firm.
And let's see, you've still only got the 2 off the field, and he has 1 sent off with his reserve that'll come back, so he does only have a 1 body advantage, but again, with all this guard, I'm sure it feels always like it's more than just 1 body advantage.
Yeah, from my point of view, it was just what even small. Picking a team up. You can knock back down.
Okay, so Sure Feet has let him down a couple times, I'll say that much.
Yeah, it's not very rare that really does fail a lot. I've never seen it fail a lot, but it did let him down a few times in this game.
And on the previous turn, your big lad had his first, bonehead, which was a crucial one. I mean, I think you're always predisposed to think to yourself, when you're big guy, wild animals or boneheads, you think, oh, that's the crucial turn. But the thing is, they're all crucial turns, aren't they?
I tend to not try blitz with them because it's a waste of blitz if he does bonehead.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So I'm trying to take the blocks with him if he's in contact with somebody.
I've started to learn that as well. When I was still a much newer player, I would also fall into that trap of trying to blitz with the big guy. It's tempting. Oh god! Wolfgang Bosch is dead! Apode. Enjoying the substitutes. Alright, that was scary. As I was saying, I would also fall into that trap as a new player of blitzing with the big guy. It's tempting because you got Mighty Blow, but then not only do you have to get through the bonehead, you also have to get through the not having block. And then even if you get bad dice, you reroll it, you got to get through loner. So he's set up to fail, the big lad.
Yes, obviously the Church have got more people in the crowd than I did.
He doesn't have any frenzy, does he? No.
Just on his minor.
Oh yeah, that's right, yeah. It's funny looking at frenzy on the Minotaur. Like when I've used the Minotaur myself, I've often, you know, your first instinct is to put the Minotaur in the center of the pitch to control the center of the pitch, but you could quite well make the argument for trying to keep him on one of the flanks for the surfing opportunities. But by doing that, of course, then you cede the other half of the pitch's territory.
I've seen a few people do that with the big guy on the side. I think I've seen Giovanni do it as well. He's put his Yeti on the side. I think he did against you.
I'm trying to think, and in retrospect, it was a calculated risk for him because, like, if I'm playing against those Norsemen, I'm most afraid of his Yeti, and I want to stay away from it. So if he puts his Yeti up on the left flank, I'm naturally going to run up the right flank, but then he can then use all of his other most dangerous pieces on the right flank and sort of, you know, like a little 1-2 maneuver.
Yeah.
Right, so there's the equalizer.
Yeah. I'm pretty pleased that I got him to turn 16 score. I feel he could have scored any in that second half.
I would agree. You've done well there, mate.
Thank you.
So whose drive is it now? It's your drive, isn't it?
Yeah, the ball gets kicked to me now. So I've still got turn 16.
Well, yeah, you're not going to one-turn score, are you?
No, he did say in chat to me about one turning. I said, don't worry about that much. I don't know. See it done, but I'm not tried it myself yet. He sort of said
brilliant coaching. I believe in your situation, you would still be, you know, well placed, putting your pieces right up on front, because if you got a blitz or there was a riot that gave you an extra turn, it would still be exceptionally unlikely. I mean, you have to get that event first, and even if you do, you still have to capitalize, which is so hard, but it is possible. Evening, Griff.
So, talking about the reroll from the brilliant coaching. In our chat, we were saying, oh, but no rerolls for extra time. If you got a reroll, reroll each.
Yep. Well, you got an extra bit of SPP there.
Yeah.
Go into overtime now. Interesting. This is I think it's the first game to go to overtime in all the knockout games. I mean, lLoggiczz makes a good point there. You had proven that you can score quite a lot quicker than he could. So, I mean, the thing is, how does a Chaos Dwarf team lose from this position? It's by being overconfident and just assuming that it's in the bag. So, nice to see that he didn't do that. Well played.
I agree, yeah. The humans can score in two turns. That's always better as long as you've got catches on the field.
I mean, lLoggiczz makes a good point. Him saying winning the toss was almost game deciding. It's something that I have been slow to appreciate and to learn is, like, when a game starts and I win the toss, I'll just, out of habit, click attack because I want to punch people. And I'm only starting to learn now how there's a hell of a lot more to it than just getting to punch first.
Yeah. Yeah, but we both agreed in our chat that in winning a toss, a big deciding factor to who could win the game. Over time. You get to kick first, you've got a chance of winning.
Yeah, and the overtime toss also.
Yeah, yeah.
So you won the initial toss, and then he won the second one.
That's correct. Yeah, I won the one at the start, of course.
So what I'm saying is, you two are equally good tossers. Then is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Right, let's switch the view here to Chaos. Okay, you know, Wild Animal is terrible for him, but I mean, I kind of wish that these Wild Animal pieces would just get really stupid as well, because it's such an advantage. They still keep their tackle zones.
Yeah, it is annoying. It's something you got to keep in mind of.
And the effect of Guard is still used, and Tentacle, if he had it, would still be effective. I mean, I'm trying to think. I'm like looking at the human ogre, and I'm thinking, what advantage does the human ogre have that the Minotaur doesn't have to justify that the ogre is really stupid, whereas the Mino is just a wild animal?
It's well, the boneheads 2+, isn't it? Whereas the wild animal, he's not lit in it, it's 4+, isn't he?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, with the wild animal, you have to be using a blitz or a block. Yeah.
Yeah. So whether that's an advantage to the ogre, then he's less likely to bonehead.
Yeah, it would be. I suppose you can, if you manage to get break tackle on your ogre, you can make him a lot more mobile. Whereas break tackle on the Mino is less useful because you got 50% chance to wild animal unless you're throwing a blitz or a block.
Yeah.
It's not much of a difference though.
No, I won't say that.
I'm pretty sure most coaches would take wild animal over bonehead 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, I think so.
And if it's on a big lad who can mutate tentacles, then it's a no-brainer. So much guard. A lot of guard.
Yeah, I was just trying to pressure the ball as much as I could at this point, without overcommitting.
I mean, how do you get the ball off him? I suppose you have to split him up, because this very static, stodgy punch fest suits him completely. But with such lack of players, you kind of get drawn into that punch fest because you just don't have the bodies to make him feel like he has to split up. You know?
Yeah. He's still in a commanding position, really.
So when I have a human team, I like to have at least one reserve. Were you thinking about a reserve or getting a reserve during the campaign, or did it just not work out that way?
I did think about it before this game. I think I had the money to. I did think about it. But I thought, no, I'd save it for inducement.
And the inducement was the wizard, and just the wizard.
It was in there. I don't think I got a babe. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
And the whole inducement thing is an interesting discussion to have as well. Anyone who's played against a halfling team will know how powerful inducements can be, especially the blasted goblin chef.
Yeah.
So much so, isn't there actually a stadium upgrade that makes the master chef cheaper?
Well, I don't know.
I believe there is. That's something that maybe one can think about. If memory serves, you can build a stadium upgrade that makes the Goblin Master Chef half price. So I think you can hire him for 150,000. Snake Eyes there, but re-rolled for lLoggiczz.
I had 90k down TV, and I spent 60k on my bank.
So it was 60k all you had in the bank. I mean, you would obviously spend all your bank in the final. Is no point in holding on to it.
Yeah, well, there isn't, is there?
No. And tell me, so after this tournament, are you going to keep playing with the Reikland Reavers in the in the Open League, or are they a one and done team?
I think they'll be done. I tend to play CCL over Open League, Open Ladder.
Yeah, I can well imagine that some of the lads might become quite attached to their team. I have to admit, I became quite attached to my Elves, but seeing as though there's only 6 of them left alive, I think that's a retired team right there.
Yeah, I think there's much point continuing those.
Ooh, nice right at the end though, getting an injury, especially on a Chaos Warrior, Dwarf Walker. Miss next game, whatever shall he do?
I've got a pat on the back off Jude of Arnar for that one.
Yeah, he appreciates that, wouldn't he? So I shouldn't be talking as this game is over already, but I'm quite looking to seeing the final. I think we're going to have a razor close game with 2 very evenly matched teams.
Of course.
And once again, mate, I think you ought to be commended for having put up the fight that you have in this enormous mismatch.
I appreciate that, thank you. Yeah, lLoggiczz said to me as well, this is a really good fight. Without the dice turn, you get fighting to the end, and I was pretty happy that for overtime. Playing in the league and 2-0, beat him in the league.
And I'm certain I'm also quite certain you'll bear this in mind. You'll remember this for the 3rd viewer league if you're ever in a position to put the boot in against him.
Well, would be very nice.
Us Blood Bowl players have very long memories.
Always remember the bad stuff.
Oh, I killed the big man! Oh no!
Yeah.
Raz the Destroyer got destroyed.
He did. Yeah, on the cake.
You hate to see it. You hate to see it. Although, when I play with my human team and my big lad gets killed, I'm usually at the end of the time, at the end of feeling him let me down for so long. I'm like, fine, die, you idiot. I don't care.
Yeah. But when he's been half decent for you, it's a bit of a shame for him to go out the way he did.
Indeed, and going for it. And speaking of a shame, it's kind of a shame that Marden's Orcs didn't make it into the playoffs, because he had great hit there, well done. He had a troll, a level 3 troll. I believe he had block and gold on his troll.
He did. Yeah, he did. Yes.
Named after me and all. So 2 of your lads got killed. The semi-finals have been brutal for the human and elf teams. A total of what, 5 deaths?
Yeah, we've been both bashed a little bit.
Yeah, yep.
Knocking the ball over there, I thought there's no chance here now.
I mean, it's by no means a fait accompli for him that he would get his hands on another injury. This is just gruesome, but I suppose, I mean, we're in overtime, and the longer the game goes against a punchy team like this, it's just going to happen, isn't it? I mean,
Sure.
Just get ground down into the dust. I must say, I'm feeling a lot better about the way I got punched seeing this. You poor lad. Is that the plus agility centaur? It is. So he still has to make a 67% dodge, which he does. And runs it in for the win. So there it is. Well done to lLoggiczz. I think, yeah, as well as you did, and again, congrats. I think lLoggiczz deserving winner there.
Of course.
And it's quite easy. It's quite easy to be a deserving winner when you have such an enormous advantage. And then, just as a final, thanks for playing. Fuck you, Arnar. Let's just give MVP to your dead lineman.
Exactly.
Classic. Let's look at some of the dice rolls here. So let's look at the D6s here for you, for the Reikland Reavers. 33 sixes, but then again, everything else, I think that was pretty even. Looking at, let's see, armor rolls is about right. Injury, I think you were a bit unlucky there. Casualties, very unlucky there. Dodges at 50%, that's below average for you, that's hard luck. Your catching was awful, mate. But I'd like to think...
Around,
yes, when it was bouncing around in the scrum, that was quite hard. And block dices, 12 powers, 10 skulls, 17, so pretty even there. And then looking at Snow White's... Go on, sorry.
I know I gave up a lot of blocks in the game, but obviously if I could make him roll and roll bad, and sometimes it works. I mean, with the double scores and stuff like that, but...
I mean, the thing is, you know, you'll always get some smart arts who will say, "Oh, but you should just run away." But the thing is, you're playing against like how many pieces with tackle, so running away, I don't think is the right option. So I think you did the right thing. The Snow White and his 6 Dwarfs block dice, pretty evenly spread as well for him. He did roll a fair amount of skulls, 41, and he had to re-roll. Let's see how many snake eyes did he have to re-roll? I'm just seeing 1, 2, 3 snake eyes. And D6s for the Dwarfs, 25 ones. So, wow. I mean, it looks to me you got the slightly better of the rolls, yet the outcomes were actually worse for you. So, again, hard luck. And just to sum up, thanks for taking the time to commentate, mate, and well done for making it through to the knockout stage.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we'll see you in round 3.
Definitely.
Great, thanks, mate. Cheers. Right, friends, thanks for watching this replay. That was the fourth. No, sorry. I'm so confused. This is the second semi-final. So now we will go into the replay for the final coming up next, where we have Duard Varnus's Norsemen up against lLoggiczz Chaos Dwarfs. Should check it out.